Are you awake and alive now? That we sound awake? Hi everyone, my name is Nicholas, and obviously I'm graduating, class of 2011. Like I said, I'm a walker, and I also like to hear feedback, so if you like something I say, can I get a little holla? Holla! Yeah, there we go. Alright, so I'm up here sharing my testimony. I accepted Christ as a sophomore, and some friends of mine, Steph and St. Marie and Mason Wheeler, started a youth group, completely student-led, and it was over at Bell Chapel on the corner of 3rd and B. And those are two guys in my life. They graduated 2 years ago, and they were really just excellent leaders for what a Christian is, and just really devoting their whole entire life to God. It was a night my sophomore year at the Oasis, and the message that Stephen was speaking was all about worrying and stress and just getting rid of that all. And it was his senior year, and I remember him talking about all the things that he was going through in his senior year, and where he's going in the future and what he's supposed to do in his life, and if he's going to a Christian college or a regular college. And he was just, I remember him talking about that, and he just sounded so distressed, and then he just had such a confidence in what our God is going to do in his life. And he didn't know where he was going necessarily, but he knew that God was going to take him in the right place. And preparing this speech in my own life, I remember that night when I accepted Christ, it was like an awakening of my own soul. I am a huge stressor, always have been. I worry about things that I don't even have to worry about just because. And that night, I just felt a sense of relief come off of my body. And so that's what I'm here talking to tonight, is worrying. How many in here have worried? Yeah, I'd be a little worried if you've never worried. It's a very natural human feeling. And I think that worrying has good and bad. Worrying shows a sense that you care. If you didn't worry ever, it showed that, if you didn't worry about your grades, you didn't care about them ever. If you don't worry about your family or your friends, you don't necessarily care about them.
Holla!
Worrying also leads to stress, and stress is just a lack of faith in our God. Thank you. Matthew 6:27 is God talking to Matthew in the Bible, and he says, "For who of you can add an hour to his life by worrying?" And I think that is huge, that we go through this life worrying about what we're going to wear and our hair in the morning, and worrying about what college we're going to and what we're going to do with our life. And, so many decisions cause us to worry. And really, worrying does nothing for us. Worrying in those cases, does nothing for us. It doesn't make our life longer, it just makes it harder. The thing is that we don't understand God's plan for us, and we never will. Habakkuk 1:5, this is one of my favorite verses. It's God speaking, and he says, "For I'm going to do something in your days that you would not believe, even if you were told." And I think that is huge, because if God came down and told us what we're going to do with our lives, what's going to happen to us, no matter what time of the life, our life continues to grow and continue to change. And if God himself came down and told you where you're going to be in 5 years, you wouldn't believe him. And I think that that's huge as graduates. As we go on and live our life and go to whatever college we go to, we don't know the plans that God has stirring for us. God always sees the bigger picture. He always sees our brighter future. And his plan for our lives is better than any plan that we could create by ourselves.
Amen.
See, our book is already written. We don't have to worry about anything. We don't have to worry about the decisions we're going to make. It doesn't mean that we get to sit on a couch and say, "God, do great things," because I'm not worrying. No, we have to be proactive and we have to persevere. But our book is already written, and there's no reason for us to worry. God's plans are greater, God's plans are bigger for us, and we just have to believe in that and have faith in him. A mentor in my life, some of you guys might know him even as adults, Dick Jansen. And he taught here for years as a history teacher, and I think he's in 40-something years as the tennis coach. And throughout my 3 years of playing tennis with him, it's been hard to leave. And just this last year, Last year, my partner and I for tennis were alternates to state. We went into if you guys know tennis, we went into a third set tiebreaker and lost it. And that was my junior year. And I'm like, hey, senior year, I've got this. You know, we're going to state, all this stuff. Brady Code and I were playing third set, and we lost it again, alternates to state. And as a senior, that was so hard because we lost to a team that we'd beaten earlier for a championship title. And they ended up going into state and actually placing fourth, and that was encouraging. And I remember Jansen, tough guy, never cries. He came up to me, tears in his eyes, trying to hold it back with all he could. And Brady and I were just bawling our eyes out, felt like we were going to puke. We were so upset. And he says, Breezy, you've got 20 minutes to feel sorry for yourself, and then you got to go home and start with the rest of life. And it really just reminds me that it's like, there's a time for everything. Ecclesiastes 3:1-4 says, there's a time for everything and a season for every activity under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to uproot. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to tear down and a time to build. There's a time to weep and a time to laugh, and a time to mourn and a time to dance. And God, this is our time. Although we may go through times that we feel like weeping and everything, there's also a time to laugh. And although we may feel like there's a time to mourn and, hold each other as we move on to our lives, but there's a time to dance. And I just want to leave you with this, is don't worry about your future. God has it under control. Dwell in these times of weeping and laughter and mourning and dancing, and just have fun. Remember it all. So thank you, guys.